Are you talking and I just returned?
Nope, I am not talking. Sorry, I clicked it on my phone and you can't have any background noise there. Good, everyone is joining right now. Very excited. We're going to do something a little different today. Don't worry, you know it's going to be good. We are live streaming because I wanted to be able to get this to everyone. We have a lot of real estate friends that were not able to go to the Brian Buffini Masterclass that was on Friday, February 18th. So we had a good group there, and we always want to be able to share what we learned, right? So I'm going to make myself a spotlight real quick. We always want to be able to share what we learned with those that are not able to attend. And I thought today we would take the opportunity to share our takeaways, ahas, and little gems and golden nuggets that we are going to take and try to implement into our business. So I've asked a few people that were at the conference to share this morning. I've got my book in front of me. And I'm going to try to decipher all my notes. And then I'm also going to be taking a look at Facebook. I have that right here. There's about a 30-second delay, I think, from going to Zoom to YouTube to Facebook, so that we can also see some of the people that were there, their feedback and their ahas. So take a look at that as well. So I'm excited to do this. Let's dive right in. We have a lot of people on this morning on this Zoom that maybe weren't on the at the conference. That's okay. If you want to ask questions or anything like that, feel free to, but I'm going to try to get through all of our ahas and everything and let those that are on today share what they saw. So if you guys want to turn off your videos and sit back and take it all in, that'd be great. We can take some questions at the end. And I hope this is something that will benefit everybody. We always try to soak up as much as we can at a Buffini conference. They give us these awesome books to fill out. But if we only keep it to ourselves, we've got to share it with other people, right? And that's what keeps those little blessings going. So I'm excited to do this morning. I thought it would be good. Again, if you're just joining us, this is for the Brian Buffini conference masterclass. And just to kind of start off, a lot of people ask me, what is the difference between all of the Brian Buffini conferences, right? He has a lot of different ones. He's had ones that are no longer out there. You know, my mom reminded me of now I just went blank. Forget it. But he has lots of different ones. Masterclass, I do believe, was created and designed to go a little bit deeper. So you go to his bigger conferences like the one in San Diego, that's called Mastermind Conference. I've been to several of those. They are great. They've got great speakers, but he is going over as if he's trying to speak to those people that have come 20 times, and he's trying to speak to those people that this is their first conference. So a lot of his conferences in the past, or different events in cities, have been to go over the whole working by referral system, what his company offers, the calls, the notes, the pop buys, and to lift you up and motivate you in that moment. This masterclass was designed to be able to go a little bit deeper with those mega fans that go to every conference that maybe have heard some of the material more than once, but we take it in different ways at different parts of our journey, and we learn at different times. And so this one is to go, let's not explain what a call, note, and pop buy is. Let's go deeper into those real people that are out there doing the work, doing the business. And he can kind of, like he likes to say, rapid fire things at us a little bit faster because we know what he's talking about. We've heard his talks in the past, and we know kind of some of his references. But there was a lot of new people at yesterday's conference, most likely due to COVID and the conference is not happening over the last few years. And so that was really awesome to see so many new people there soaking it in. So hopefully no one was too lost either, right? So let's get started. There's a few of you on today that Also have some ahas. I'm going to kind of do an overview just real quick of kind of what he talked about, and then we can kind of dig into, please just raise your hand if you want to share with me. If you don't, go ahead and put it in the chat. If you don't want to be on camera, I can read it on your behalf. I'd be more than happy to do that. And maybe Rachel, you can help me look at everything, because we've got Facebook, which I see that there is probably quite a delay, or my Facebook's frozen. There's a delay, so that's probably a good thing. So he started off the conference putting the good back in your business. So it was much more business focused. We, I'm doing this review because a lot of us, that was Friday. A lot has happened in between then. That was where we talked about a lot of the stats, which we're going to go over, the Fab Four, and how to just really dive into those Fab Four. Then he took us to the good habits for the good life. And this was, this is some good Brian Buffini right here stuff. It was really about, life isn't great, but it's good. And being able to focus on that, and how do you maintain that mindset when we feel like we've been beat up the last few years, right? And then Jamie Nowak came on, and she had the career panel. She had someone that was a brand new agent, her first year, doing awesome, a team lead, a team broker, and then just someone that has been really a big part of the Buffini culture in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that was really awesome. And then Bob Bodine was the last guest speaker about mastering your craft. And he was really great. Definitely not what probably any of us expected. And there was a lot of good takeaways there as well. So now that we've got a little bit of a refresher of what the heck we talked about on Friday, because it's a lot and your brain has to kind of process it. Let's start at putting the good back in your business. There was a lot of great stats. Was anybody's big aha in those stats? And I have a couple people's ahas over here as well. The stats are always people's favorites. Anybody want to share? Should I start some of them? You can't have dead silence. So unmute yourself if you'd like, but I'll go ahead and read them. I didn't take pictures.
Stats are not where I get my ahas usually. They're just more like, wow, okay.
Yeah. And also, if you've been to a Buffini conference, you've heard his stats before. I'll kind of touch on some of them, and maybe someone might remember something that they heard. There was a little bit, Tracy Sorrell said she really loved just that insight about generational living, which we've heard for a year or so now, where people are going to be, you're going to be having your kids stay at home longer, or you might have a parent come live with you. So these houses might need to be a little bit bigger for more than just one family to be living there. And just being able to focus on marketing, how to market that to your sphere, and letting them know that that is an option. So that was one little tidbit he told us. But let's start with buyers. He said it's up. It used to, a year ago, it was 31% that the buyers are first-time home buyers. It's now 34% of the buyers are first-time home buyers, which is a good thing, right? We thought they couldn't. First-time home buyers are having a hard time. 11% are multi-generational homes, like what I just said, which is double than ever. So that's a highest number we've had for a long time, 11%. 30 million people quit their jobs, but there's still a lot of jobs out there. Where's my stats on jobs? 11 million jobs, which is also a high, but we've had a lot of people quit intentionally because it was kind of a wake-up call to what should I do? It used to be 8 weeks. This was a good one. Your clients that think they want to see 24 homes before they make a decision. Well, there's not 24 homes anymore before you can make a decision, right? And so that's a big one. So 8 weeks, 8 homes. It used to be that you can see 8 homes in 8 weeks and you can get an executed contract. Now it's, oh wait, I'm so sorry. That's what it is now, 8 homes. It used to be 12. He said it used to be 12 homes in 12 weeks. Now it's 8 homes in 8 weeks. 90% would recommend and use their real estate agent. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That means real estate agents are doing their jobs out there. But the average number right now is about 8 homes that you can show a buyer, which I know is a good amount, but we know our clients have that expectation of being able to see more, right? And so we have to set those expectations. Anybody else had anything, a takeaway from the buyer part of this? Okay, he goes through these really fast. Sellers, 8 years in a home before selling. It used to be 7 years. 15 years ago, it used to be 7 years you were in your home. But for the last 5 years, it's been you're in your home for 10 years. So I'm going to say that again because it's kind of a tongue twister. 15 years ago, and I'm also going to record this because I'm kind of afraid it's not streaming. I don't know. 15 years ago, you were in your home about 7 years. For the last 5 years, you were in your home for about 10 years. Right now, you're in your home about 8 years before you want to sell. So that's some good stats because especially when people are thinking about the investment in a home, how long am I going to be here? And am I going to have equity in this home? Things like that. 46% larger homes. So most people, 46% of the sellers are going into a larger home, 28% make a lateral move, 85% stay within the 10-mile radius of their home that they're selling. Interesting. And then over the last year, they have about $56,000 in equity. And anybody that was there, please fact check me. I wrote these down really fast, but I'm pretty sure I have that right. 16% of companies now are going globally or going remote globally. So 16% of global companies are going remote and 90% of people plan on working remotely in the future. So remote is the way to go, which we've heard Buffini say before that due to people working from home a lot more, you're going to see people going farther in the outskirts of the big cities because they don't need to be. If they're only coming into the office once or twice, they don't mind an hour commute those days. Anything else from the seller perspective that we heard that day? And again, these are mostly stats there.
So I think that my aha for that was that it emphasized the importance of having a referral network, because you may have somebody that works in Austin but doesn't want to live in Austin, doesn't want to pay those Austin prices. Mm-hmm. So if they're only going in 1 day a week, they can live in Dallas.
Very true. Oklahoma even, right? And that's something we're going to get into as well, because we heard a lot about networking with your referral, your real estate agents across the country. That's a big one that we heard. And so we'll touch on that as well, the importance of that.
I'm going to say the 90% of home sellers worked with a real estate agent to sell their home. Only 7% sold FSBO and less than 1% sold via iBuyer. And he kind of joked around about how so many agents are like, Brian, talk about iBuyers. And he knows the statistics and he's like, no, work by referral. So I kind of laughed when he said that. And I wouldn't have guessed that it was so high that 90% of people worked with their real estate agent.
Yeah, sell. That was a good stat. And say again, the stat iBuyers was less than 1%. And then what was
7%? 7% was FSBO, 1% iBuyer.
And that's I love that you mentioned that stat because I did not write that down. I may have been ordering pizza at that moment. But I love that because we have to, your people or real estate agents, I should say, those are one of the shiny objects, right? That distract us sometimes, the iBuyers, the FSBOs. And how many agents getting into the business have you heard say, I'm going to go after all the FSBOs? How many brokerages teach you that? And I'm not, you know, when I teach working by referral, I'm always saying there is a ton of different ways to be a good real estate agent, but it's a numbers game, right? And if those are the stats, that's such a small percent of the market, right? If you're going after FSBOs and that's only 7% of the people out there, that's not a great stat for you, right? So
Well-
that's something to kind of let set in your brain there, iBuyers. And I love that Brian's like, I'm not even going to touch on it because it's a distraction from what matters to us, which is the system. And Leslie said she loved the quote, "Don't panic, just keep working the system. The system will work. Don't give up hope, and your clients will feel that same energy." Leslie shared that with me this morning. That was one of her favorites.
I was going to say too, it was super encouraging because, and if y'all have heard me talk, consistency, I think, is the number one thing in real estate. Like, that's what I've realized, just the consistency in doing the action items, and it will come. Because I talk to so many newer agents and it's discouraging at the beginning, but I'm like, think about it. You know, it's not going to happen overnight, but when you keep doing the things, it will keep coming. And you might see it 3 months down the road or 6 months. But I love that Brian's whole thing, like, he doesn't say the word consistency a lot, but that's what he's saying. Like, just do the stuff over and over again that I tell you to do, and you will be just fine.
Yes. Because how many different ways can you tell somebody? It's like I mean, I don't have kids, but I know you guys have to repeat things to your children, right? For them to believe you, to sink in, to do it. And that's kind of what, Brian tells us. You've got to just stick with it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. It will pay off. And we like instant gratification. So we want to see the results immediately. The beautiful thing is, when you do the system for a longer period of time, 3 to 6 months to a year, that's when you really start seeing it come in, right? That's when you start seeing it happen. And so that's exciting. And, but it takes that long. It's not instant. But then once you get that ball rolling, that momentum really picks up. So he talked about employment. He talked about interest rates. I'm not going to get too much into that because that could be a whole conversation in itself. He doesn't have a lot of concern about that. He touched on, a little bit of inflation right now is a big thing. But he said, what he said was the size of the interest rate increasing is not, that's more important than how many increases we have. He said we had a first rate hike in the first quarter. Most likely we're going to have 3 more each quarter. Those interest rates are going to get higher and higher. And you can tell your clients that, but also remind them in the grand scheme of interest rates, these are still at an all-time low. And it may, don't get discouraged each time you hear about an interest rate increase. What matters more is what's the size? Did it go up a little bit? And that's what he said is more important. The size of the increase, not how many increases we have. It's going to be okay. Inventory, 6.1 million last year, 15-year high. Don't remember those notes.
He told us to look
does.
He told us to look at the permits, instead of looking at maybe other things that we would look at, go look at your city's permits that have been pulled, and you can see kind of how many homes will be coming on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And
new builds, because new builds are the big ones.
Yeah, they're usually a year out.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And we have that new build series right now that kind of touches on a lot of that process right now. He also said, I think we still hear it. We don't hear it as much, thank goodness, because they always talk about the bubble like 2007, right? 2008. He said the difference here is people actually have money this time that are buying the homes, right? Which is a good thing to actually have the money. And that's unfortunately what happened 15 years ago was that money wasn't real. That was the scary part. So of course, our bubble, our increases will level off eventually. But the good thing is, are we going to see a major collapse? Most likely not. And I'm not trying to do any bold predictions or anything, so don't quote me by any means. But the good thing to remember is people are buying homes with cash this time, with real money. So that's good. Then he got into, those are the stats, and stats aren't super motivational or super inspiring, but it's good to know in your back pocket, in the back of your mind, so that when your clients freak out and they start You know, it's an emotional game. And what helps is knowing the facts to be able to calm people down with that. And so that's always good. Just remember 8 homes, 8 homes, 8 homes. Sorry, guys, you're not going to be able to see 24 houses before you make a decision and find your favorite. The Fab Four. So this is a new concept that will be rolling out. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more of it from the Brian Buffini company. But the Fab Four is more referrals, more sales, more net income, and more time off. That's a good thing, right? That sounds good. And so he talked a little bit about each one of those. And he really started this one off with, it's been a hard 2 years, right? Emotionally, financially, physically, like all the things. And it was really out of a lot of our hands. So how do you ask for referrals when you're feeling discouraged or beat up because your clients keep getting, their offers keep getting beat out, or the sellers are freaking out to have people in their home, but they want to sell their home, and you're having to jump through hoops to make these deals happen. You guys are doing a lot. I wrote down, he said, what we do in real estate is sacred work. And I don't know if I would ever have used that term, but I love it because it is sacred work. What you guys do is a lot, and it's special, and not everyone can do it, and you're changing people's lives. And with that comes the hard parts, right? He said the speed will change. We can't maintain this pace forever. So the speed will come and go, but we have to be ready. When it's fast, we got to be ready and prepared. And when it slows down, we've got to be ready and prepared. And I think this was a quote a lot of us loved. He says this is what he does. When he goes on stage, he has the mindset of when this was his first day on stage. So think back on the first day you had your real estate license, but pretend it's your last. That was a big one, right? And that's a hard mindset to always keep at the forefront, but that's why we have to remind ourselves, right? We've got to put in the work. We've got to be above and beyond, because that's what it's going to take with the competitiveness right now. What are some ahas that you guys got out of the Fab Four?
Oh, can I interrupt right there?
Oh, yes.
Because
Debbie, can you move your microphone just a little bit closer to you?
I don't know.
Scoot in.
You can scoot in. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Scoot in. Listen, I got something really great. With that mindset of imagining that it was your first day, and then act like it's your last day. It was all in that be present. Be present today. Be present. Don't be thinking of what is going to happen. Just be present with whoever you're with and all your clients. And I thought that was just as important as that first day, last day thing too.
No, 100%. We've got to treat them, even though you might have 101 things going on in the background, personally, professionally. You've got to go all in with those people, because that's what it takes right now to make them remember you, to make them refer you, and to get them to the finish line, right? Yeah, I love that. Anybody else? Was that it, Debbie?
Yes, but I just have the highlights, and you're going to the Fab Four. And so for that referral, that first one to get more referrals, doing the CMA, even though we've talked about it, I was sitting in something yesterday, and they were even talking about doing CMAs for your neighbors and presenting it really pretty and cute with a cover letter. But that one was a really, not just your past clients before 2021, but all of them, all your sphere, wherever they live, because you never know.
Exactly. So let's talk about that, because I know I had a couple people. Leslie said she loved that. A lot of people loved the CMA letter that Buffini talked about. And so that was, this is a good one, guys. So more referrals. How do we get more referrals right now? And we've touched on this in our small groups of if you're discouraged that your buyers keep on getting beat out, we've got to get creative and create the inventory, right? You've got to get out there and you've got to find the houses that aren't on the market yet. And so one way, Brian's idea to do this was provide a CMA to everyone you sold a house to prior to 2021. But do everyone, anyone you can. You are the trusted advisor. Zillow is not the trusted advisor. The internet is not the trusted advisor. It was a joke. Brian asked the audience, who's the trusted advisor? And I think one of our own screamed, Zillow, just because our clients tend to think Zillow is the trusted source, right? We've told them it's not, but you guys are the trusted advisor. And so this letter, I'm going to read it really fast. Go to the Buffini site, the resources. If you're not a member, you can go request it there. Go find it there, I do believe, but I'm not going to, but all of us could have this as a resource as well. Congrats on your investment. Dear blank, when you purchased your home, you made one of the biggest and most difficult decisions of your life. However, fortune favors the brave. Congratulations. And he put in there the price that your home has increased from and the percentage of the return. And then the letter says, here's just a quick analysis. Please reach out to me so that we can talk more about this. And I'm not going to read all that because I'm not trying to give it all away here at Buffini stuff. But it was a good letter to be able to pique people's interest. And we've been talking a lot about that with HomeBeat and HomeBot. And HomeBeat is on the MLS where you can sign people up and they can get little market stats of their area. So what I always love, guys, is we are talking about this stuff on our own in our group, which is really awesome to me that we are having those good conversations, because we've been asking, how do we create inventory? How do we get our people that are on the fence to change their mind? So I thought that was really good that he brought that up, and that's a resource that you can have. Follow it up with a phone call. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. They do like hearing from you, right? Anything else from that CMA? So this is something that you can actually implement in your business right now, the CMA letter.
Okay, Gina, it's got me in safe driving mode, so I can't see you.
That's okay.
But the ROI, when he talked about that, he talked about, say they put 50,000 down, and that the ROI was based off of their down payment, not off of what they paid for the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that a lot of people think, okay, well, I bought my house for 200 and I can sell it for 350. I made 150, when really they made more than that, like 250%.
Yes. So I wrote that down right here. So in a year, if your house went from 500,000 to 600,000, they said that's a 20% increase, right? Which is great. But Buffini's saying we've got to look at that down payment amount. And that's what the letter includes, the information on putting in there their down payment. And guess what? You know that because you're their real estate agent, right? And so using that down payment, if they put 50,000 down on a $500,000 house, and then they sell it and make 150,000, that's a 200% increase. So that's some different math for our brains, but that's also good to know. And I'm just going to ask, for those of you that liked that stat, but if you were in your house for a longer period of time, shouldn't it be down payment and what you've paid off? Because you put more money into it, right? That was one thing I kind of thought of. I'm like, is it just the down? But I guess in a year, the down payment is the larger chunk of that.
But you're gaining value. So I think that's what he's talking about. You invested 50, you got 100 in value. So the return on the money that you invested initially, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah. Cool. So that's a really good one, guys. And that is one way. Sometimes as real estate agents, we're a little lost. How do I look like a financial advisor, right? I don't even own my own house, right? Or I'm horrible with money, but I want to be a financial advisor. How can I tell people these are those little things that make you stand out when you can put these numbers together? So I thought that was really, really good. And he just touched on a little bit when the more referrals part is, we reaching out to people was big during COVID. We connected, we talked, we didn't bring up real estate. We just wanted to see how they are. And he said, sometimes the conversations we have with our sphere have nothing to do with real estate, but everything to do with being their trusted advisor, right? Because people have to trust you, have to get to know you to trust you, and they work with people they trust. So you can talk about kids and family and just health and all these things, and they're building trust with you. And that's who they look to for a trusted advisor. He also said people are ready to party, which I like. People are ready to get out. People are ready to have lunch. So reach out to your people and also he touched on this, and we'll touch on it again. He said, go be the leader in the conversations. When someone says they're fine, when someone says, that first reaction to how are things, ask again, because like a lot of people under the surface, they're not fine still. And so be there for them in a real way. More sales. Keep hope alive. Watch out for forbearance listings. He said something about February 15th. Oh, February 15th is when the forbearance thing was up. So people are not going to be, just like we saw foreclosures back in 2008, we may have forbearance, which means, someone correct me if I'm wrong, it means it's like their house poor. What was it? They had the money, but they can't make the bill. They can't catch up. Anybody remember that better than me? Okay, perfect. None of us did. So more sales, build your national network. So this was a big one, and Sonia Leonard, who's from DFW area, a lot of you guys know her. She talked a lot about 100 calls in one day to all of the agents across the United States. And she said it was awkward at first. It was weird at first. She had a lot of people kind of tell her it was weird that they were calling her. But the more people you can connect with and know, the better across the United States. And guys, we're lucky. We're in Dallas, Fort Worth, in Texas, out of the United States, right? We're in a great place. So building your referral network is something we really need to focus on. So whether you can call a bunch of people, but have your list of people in each state. When I've been to a Buffini conference in the past, someone showed that they have a binder, old school binder of, the business card holders, and they divided it into states so that when someone asks for a referral in a different state, you can flip right there. Because sometimes we get all these business cards and we're like, don't know where they are when you need it. If you're in the Buffini referral maker, you can create groups for each state if you want, so you can find those quickly, or maybe they're your nationwide referral partners and you also have that referral maker or the referral system in there as well. So that was a big one. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like what can we do, or what do you plan on doing to start implementing some systems about connecting with referral partners across the United States? Anyone?
Okay, you're going to be really proud of me. Yesterday, I went into the office.
Okay.
And I wrote notes to each of them, said it was very nice to meet them, reminded them of what market I was in, and told them that I was putting them in my referral database for the area they worked in.
Perfect. Good job, Shanae. Debbie, what did you do? I saw you raising your hand.
I did the same thing, but I made it a point, because I went to that mixer on Thursday night and so that was my whole goal. And then my coach said, nobody I know, I don't think it's going. She goes, I don't care, go. I was like, oh, all right. I don't want to have to tell her no. And so I did. That was my goal to meet. I met Shanae. I met, she did go.
Who did? Oh, Shanae, yeah.
Shanae did.
Yeah.
So I met her there. But that was my whole goal, was to meet people. And so I have written notes, and I'm just finishing them up since the mail didn't come yesterday.
Perfect.
And
we also, I mean, I think at every part of our career, our journey, we always have this in the back of our minds. Oh, they're meeting tons of agents from Texas, right? Why should I send them a note? Because they're going to get 20 of these. But what if you sent them a note, like 20 other agents, then you connected on Facebook, and then, oh my God, you guys have the same type of dog, and you guys talk for a year just about your dog, and you become dog friends. But then they think of you in that moment when they finally get that referral. It's not instant, right? But when they finally get that referral, it's what happens from the first time you meet them to when they send you a referral. And sometimes that can be a short period. Sometimes it can be a long period. Just like when you meet someone at an open house, or you meet someone that's referred to you, till when they actually sell or buy with you, it can be a long time. But what matters is that follow-up in between, and not just real estate follow-up, life follow-up. But nurturing that relationship is so important from the start to the finish of a prospect to client friendship that turns into business friendship. So I think it's not just what we do now, it's what we do going forward, and setting up a system to do that is the most important part, right, guys? We know that it's hard to do follow-up. It's hard to be really nice, sweet people that write note cards when we're super busy or stressed. But that's going to be a big conversation, and hopefully something we can maintain the conversation. The next part of the Fab Four, so it was more referrals, more sales, more net income. He said, you know what? Increase your business reserves so that you can grow when people retreat. And very wise words in life, right? And we talk about being prepared. When opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. When the market crashes and stocks are cheap, I mean, Buffini said it before, like he loves buying them at really cheap prices, and he can because he's prepared himself for that. Or real estate, when all the houses are cheaper, all of a sudden, he was ready to be able to invest in properties. And now look where he's at. So I think that's a big one. And there's baby steps to set yourself up like that, right? You can't just jump from here to there, but those baby steps to build there is the important thing. Invest to grow, not hoarding because of fear, which I really liked, because sometimes it can feel like we're investing, we're saving, we're stockpiling, our little like squirrels with our nuts for the winter. We've been in this mode of like, life has been like preparing for winter, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen next. Like we truly don't. And so we want to save and save and save. And sometimes that can get us in the mindset of hoarding out of fear, right? And so try to have the mindset of saving, and investing, and investing in the right things so that you can grow, not out of a fear mindset. So I really, really loved that. Take chips off the table. Yes.
So that was my biggest takeaway, was just that he was reminding us not to operate from a position of fear, but to just be prepared and to trust the systems and trust the process, and that it's just proven. And so that was my biggest takeaway, was to be able to trust ourselves and trust the knowledge that we have. So.
I love that. And he talked a little bit about trouble is opportunity in disguise. And we've heard that in so many different ways, right? In different quotes, if you're growth minded, but it's true. But you've got to be ready when trouble arises and trouble pops up for your clients, for you, for your family, friends. You've got to be in a place and prepared to be able to provide solutions, whether it's just a friend, talking to another friend. But we've got to be well enough to be able to offer that opportunity, offer the solutions, and to get people through that. So, and then it kind of goes into how do you mentally, physically, emotionally, how are you in a good place for people when they need it? And that is more time off, which a lot of us, we all love the idea, right? And we all got into real estate so that we could make our own schedule and we can, we know now it's not exactly what we thought it was going to be, right? And sometimes you guys don't take a day off, right? We know that's the truth. And so that is important for you to be able, he says at every conference, you got to put your mask on first before you can help other people, just like they tell us every time on the plane, right? We've got to be able to fill our cups so we can fill other people's cups. And he also said, I love this, and if you guys know me, you know I'm practicing this and pretty good at it, but the mini breaks, which is hard sometimes, but he's like, we're not in this, we don't have the luxury of taking off 2 weeks, right? That's like, that sounds crazy if you're in real estate, but these little mini breaks where you can really disconnect and you really take them. And he said, have an accountability buddy for your vacations, for your days off, because when you tell your brain you're going to take a day off and you're going to rest and you're looking forward to it, and then you don't do it, your brain, he said, your subconscious mind won't believe you after a while if you don't take the breaks. It goes into this hyper hustle mode, and that's not healthy for us, is it? And so you've got to, don't lie to your brain and take these mini breaks. Staycations are just as refueling than, going across the world, so taking a staycation, staying home and disconnecting for the weekend, or going, renting a cabin somewhat place locally. And he said, do it up. He said, do it up big, when you do take these mini breaks, because if it's only for a day or two, go big, maybe splurge on dinner. He did say that, first class is just a little bit more money than economy. And Brian, I don't know what flight you're looking at, but I've looked at it and it's like a good $500 or $600.
We said not true.
Yeah, Rachel and I looked at each other and we're like, no, we would love to be on first class. I do check it periodically because people fly it. And I'm like, how are they flying this?
So I found a really good hack, which I might have told someone. It's not really a hack. Y'all are probably like, okay, lady, we know this. But if you have an airline credit card and you have miles, ask at the last minute at the desk if they have any open seats in first class, and you get a really big discounted rate and you can use your miles. So it could be a lot cheaper if you did it last minute if there's availability.
Yeah, I haven't been on a flight lately where there's one seat available in the whole plane. So that's the other thing. I think they're condensing a lot of flights. And so they're jam packing us in there, but that's always a good thing to know because I've never actually done that. And so I will do that. But anyways, back to more time off, mini breaks, staycations, do it up big because, and Jennifer LeBlanc said this, she loved, creativity doesn't happen in the grind. And I love that because, and creativity, we think, oh, we're not creative, but we think of artsiness, right? But what about your creativity in serving your clients and standing out and negotiating? All of that takes our creativity, and it doesn't happen when we are grinding each day. So we need the breaks and the time off to get the creativity back. What else on that note did you guys take away from the more time off? Because that's a nice thought, right? Anything you guys are going to implement in your business? He mentioned Buffini and Company just implemented Good Life Fridays. And once a month, one Friday a month, their people take off paid. And so I thought that was a good idea. And I wanted to start implementing that as well, because he did say having an accountability buddy for your days off is also important. Someone that can make sure, because what do we do? What's the difference? I'm just going to keep working, right? I've got to get this done. It's going to be here when I get if I took off the day or not, I'd rather get it done. But so we've really got to make it a priority to take a day off. And we've really got to, if you've done this, too, having something in the future, even if it is just a day getaway, right? Having that little thing in the future, it makes you hustle with a little bit more of a happier heart, right? When you know that you're going to get that day off, when you know that you have a break coming, you are more in a better mindset to do the hard work now, right? Because you know you're going to have it off. So having these little breaks once a month, one Friday a month, having a day off to yourself is super important. And it can really make the difference of the work that you're doing in that moment, right? So I'm a big believer in that. Anybody else? I'm trying to keep up with these comments in here too. Yeah, you're right, Kelly. Kelly said it's subjective. $500 to him might be just a little bit versus us. You're right. But he knew he was talking to us. But yeah, Buffini gets it. Right? I had a $28 glass of wine, which I never do. Didn't know it was that much. But I said, you know, Buffini told me to do it up. So I guess that was me doing it up by accident. And it was a tiny glass. You know, they're always tinier pours, the more expensive it is. But what else, guys? I mean, I hope that resonates with you. I hope you feel like that's possible to do and take these Good Fridays off, or Good Life Fridays. And I know I'm going to keep talking to you guys about that, because I know that that's important, because like you said, you guys are grinding hard right now. These were some questions people asked. They were pretty basic about appraisals. Do more work to create the inventory for your struggling buyers is basically the gist of what's happening right now. Is we've got to go out and do the extra work, but you've got to be in a good place to do that. The second part of this was good life, good habits for a good life. Why life doesn't feel so good, but it is a good life, right? And this fact, again, stats aren't super motivational, but the USA's lowest 10% of earners is the world's top 10%. So let that set in. Why life doesn't feel so good when our lowest earners are in the top 10% of earners in the world. And I go back and forth, because sometimes perspective is big, but we are in our world, we are in our life, but just touching on just, you know, having a little moment where you can recognize how grateful we are to be where we are is big, right? And because of suffering, we have sympathy. So the bad is what makes the good even better, right? And I love when he says, it wasn't good, but it was for my good. Your life is meant to be good. And as leaders, we need to go first. And that's a big theme that I've seen and heard lately, is being a leader in our sphere, in our businesses, in our family. And leaders go first. Even though there is a book, Leaders Eat Last, I haven't read it yet, but I like the idea of we have to lead by example. And because that will make others join in and be more open and be more real. So I thought that was a really good one. Anybody else? This was the feel good part of the conference. We got our feels. Thoughts on that part? Nobody? I have some questions for you. So this is something you guys can do on your own, but Buffini always asks, rate yourself 1 to 10 in these 5 circles. So if you're familiar with the Buffini logo, those are 5 circles. And in those 5 circles, I'm trying to find a bigger picture of it, but in those 5 circles, it's spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. And those can mean whatever they need to mean to you, right? Spiritual, family, business, financial, personal. And rate yourself in each one of those little bubbles from 1 to 10 and be honest. And again, we talk about this all the time. It's not to make you feel bad. It's to have a real check-in with yourself. And where you need to improve and what you can do. And then he always goes into, in his conferences, the goals. And he has us sit down quietly and we do our 10-day goals. What can we do right now? Because he knows right now what you can do today, what you can do in the next 10 days, feasible, small things that that gives us some momentum to keep going in the bigger things. We have to feel accomplished in the little things to keep going. And so what you do in the next 10 days, what can you do? Then 10 months from now until, a little less than a year, where do you want to be? And then he says, dream big. What are those wild things? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? It used to be 10 years. And he said, we don't know what's going to happen in 10 years, much less, a year from now, the way it's been. But he said, just dream big, get silly, and think about what you want your life to look like in 5 years. And you do it in each one of those categories, right? So I hope, anybody have any notes from that section? Good habits for a good life.
You've already talked about all the good stuff that I highlighted when I reviewed. So,
well, you say it in your own words, Debbie, because I say it differently.
well, yeah, but still, other people have heard it. He said a quote by Thomas Keating that just says, "Inside the infinite love of God, there is a place for suffering." Well, I highlighted that because we sometimes think when we're going through something rough, it's like horrible, it's over, it's done. And then, so that was just a good reminder. And then
say the quote again for us.
Inside the infinite love of God, there is a place for suffering. So that's what he said. Thomas Keating said that. And then when we go over to this good-o-meter, I was like, okay, let's be honest here. I was like floored. I was like, I'm not doing very well. And I thought I was doing so much better. But when I really took an honest look, I thought, oh yeah, I've got some work to do. I've got those goals so that I've got to make those goals so that I'm no longer a 5 in something or a 3. I have to step it up a little bit. And I think I've just gotten like lazy, or not really lazy, but just
comfortable,
complacent, comfortable.
Yeah. And he talked about that, I think, in his first podcast of the year. He said, we get comfortable in what we're doing. And some of us, it's like we needed that for a second, right? We needed to feel stable. We needed to feel comfortable. But he said, and he goes, comfort is it's not permanent. We don't want to stay comfortable forever. We want to push ourselves and grow. So again, I love that you had some real reflection there. And it's not to feel bad. It's like, okay, this is a time in my life where I know I can do better. Right? I know I can do better in this circle. And when you got to do it, right? So I think it's a big one for sure. And there's some guys, I've been doing Buffini goals for a long time. And there's some that I'm always low. Honestly, I won't lie. Like I'm always low in spiritual. I don't know why. Maybe I need ideas. But I just feel, and maybe I'm looking at spiritual wrong, because I bet some of you are like, you're low in that one. But like, I don't feel like I've always had this kind of blind faith and just like trusted God, but I don't think about it too much. And I don't put the work into that category too much. And so I always feel like I'm lacking in it. And so it's always a good exercise to do: spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. Kind of do a check-in with yourself. Where are you at in each one of those circles is big. And last but not least, we're going to get into Bob Bodine, which was really awesome for me because I just learned about Bob Bodine in our new build series. Bob Hafer, who's in charge of the new build series for Homes USA Alliance, is a big Bob Bodine fan. So he's been saying quotes to us by Bob. He's like, be the difference maker and and I'm like, I love it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And then boom, Bob Bodine is the speaker for Brian Buffini. He was on one of the podcasts, which I didn't remember until I remembered. And it's all about, his book is The Power of Who. His first book was, which aligns very well with the Brian Buffini stuff, right? Brian Buffini, Acres of Diamonds, he says, everyone you need to know to get to your goals, you already know. And that's acres of diamonds. He had everything under his feet, but he went out to go find it. But it was right under where he was. And that is important for us to know. And that's where Buffini says, go deeper with the people you know, love on them more. And that's a big part. Shanae, did you have something to say? I like that, it rhymed.
Well, so my aunt had suggested Bob Bodine's 2 chairs to me after my grandmother passed away. She said that it was really, really.
Uh-oh, I think you're cutting out. And that is the book called 2 Chairs.
I've been wanting first book. 2 Chairs is the second book.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought he was very what's the word I'm looking for? Energetic, and he definitely held your attention. So I'm hoping that his book does the same.
Yeah, so Bob Bodine, he is he had that pastor, preacher type voice where he, you had to pay attention to him no matter what. But he also, you could tell he genuinely cared. And I guess I was waiting out the line to get out of the conference center. So I actually went back in to go to the bathroom. And then I saw him just talking to everybody, and he was genuine. He was like, if you had something to say and you want to get it out, like, please talk to me. And he was saying that guy is genuine, right? Like, he's real, the real deal. And it was really awesome. So 2 Chairs is his newest book, but he was saying, what I love too is he goes, and you hear the opposite of this all the time. Brian even says, everyone wants to be a speaker, right? Everyone wants to write a book. But Bob was saying, he thinks everyone should write a book because we all have that little bit of gem of knowledge, perspective, insight that one person out there might be looking for, they might need to hear it. And he said, everybody should write a book because it's your life, it's your experience, and it's what you have to give to the world. And so Bob, I didn't know what to expect with Bob's. I really thought it was going to be more about the power of referrals, relationships, nurturing, but he did surprise us a lot. And what I got from his whole part was being genuine and putting yourself out there in a way that we don't feel comfortable to do anymore. He made us all feel really uncomfortable with an exercise that I'm not going to share the exercise because I think it's very special. And I would want you to be able to experience it for yourself. But I think the biggest part was we've lost that comfort in just telling the people we care that we care about them. And he said, make energy visible, right? And lead by example. Show people what it looks like to be energized about the real estate market, to be energized about life, about the things that hurt us, the obstacles. We're there for the solutions, right? So give some energy, make love visible, retrain people to not be uncomfortable when you tell them that you love them. And that was pretty powerful for a lot of us. Blessings given walks you into your calling. I wrote that down. Blessings given. So when you give, and we've heard Buffini say it before, give until it hurts. And we're like, Brian, we don't want to. Those people are not nice. They don't care about us. They didn't even say thank you. Give until it hurts. Give it out in slices. It comes back in loaves. Give your skills, your gifts, what makes you feel special, what makes you special. Give all of that away, and you will come into the life that you were meant to be in, right? So that's pretty powerful. He said, the secret to success is in plain sight. It's being a champion of love. And you can see a lot of examples in that when those walls get broken down and you're able just to be, he said it's most powerful he talked a lot about college like men's sports teams. And he said, they're sarcastic at first, but when you see these big old guys break down and really just tell each other how much they care about each other, it's powerful, right? 2 is better than 1. and we've got to serve each other. We've got to love each other. And that's how he uses it. I think he never said it, but I believe Bob Bodine, it sounds like his family had a business of headhunting, like, matching people to jobs probably on a higher level. And he said he's in the business of retention and recruitment. And really, that's what we're all, you're all looking for more clients. We're looking for more advocates. We're looking for more cheerleaders. And how do you attract that more than being just a big ball of love or energy, right? And so it can work in a lot of different areas of our life. And the last part was this was my notes of it: make energy visible, make love visible, make time visible. Talk to God for 1 minute, but give God 4 minutes to talk to you. He said, just being quiet with God. I thought that was really good. Does God know about your troubles? Does he have a plan? What is it? But then he also said, spending 5 minutes a day lifting up other people in your life, right? What other, I see some quotes in the chat. What are some other things that you guys got? Leslie said, we aren't salespeople. We're all personal coaches, was something he said that clicked with me. I love that too. It goes back to the leader, like, be a personal coach to the people in your life. You don't have to tell them you're coaching them, because most people don't like that, but go act like that to your people. Go build them up. Go find, he goes, there's something great in everyone, and it's your job to find it. Problems are opportunities in disguise. And this was the quote he started off with, which kind of, I was like, oh, that's deep. I need to understand that. But art does not reflect what is seen. Rather, it makes the hidden visible. Art does not reflect what is seen. Rather, it makes the hidden visible, which is a deep quote for me. I don't know. It doesn't really resonate with me, but I think what it comes down to is that there's things in life that you can't see. So how do we make them known? If you can't put them in art, right? You can make energy visible. You can make love visible. You can make time visible by carving it out and making, like what Debbie said earlier, being all in that moment, being present. That's how you make time visible. Love that. Anything else, ladies that were there? This has been good. Christy, do you have anything else to add? I know you kind of jumped in late.
Well, I got to hear Bob Bodine at Peak back in May. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. It looks like it's delayed, so I'm like, so anyway, I mean, I have read both his books, The Power of Who and Two Chairs, and I highly recommend them both. There's a ton of nuggets, and I would also recommend everybody go and like his Facebook page. He shares a lot in there, just daily affirmations and things that really help you, I think, on a daily basis, stay motivated and keep going and connect to people. So that's some of my takeaways from hearing him previously, and I actually had to step out for part of his conversation here, but he's just genuinely a good guy. He lives here in Plano. I don't know if everybody knows that, but
yep, he's from here, which makes us like him a little bit more,
yeah,
right? When he's a Texas guy.
Right? But I've talked to him on Facebook. Like, he's very outgoing. Like, if you message him or whatever, he'll respond. Like,
oh, wow, awesome.
Very, very nice.
I love that. Well, thank you, Christy. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to leave you guys. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, I'll stay on, or if you want to touch on anything, share anything. But the last thing that I really, really loved, because dream bigger has always been kind of a real estate mantra for me, because sometimes in this business, things happen quickly, right? They can happen super fast. And the panel talked about, we've got to celebrate or we're going to get worn out, right? We've got to celebrate, but I love dream bigger, because in real estate, we've got to keep pushing ourselves, because, and the beautiful thing in real estate, you can dream bigger. It can become bigger than you ever imagined it to be, that, and because real estate is that amazing, right? And Bob Bodine told the story. He has a really close connection, and I'm going to do this fast. So I'm not going to tell you the first part of it, but he has a really close connection with Arnold Palmer from the time he was a child, with his watching Arnold Palmer with his dad, where his dad, there was this story. You know what? Never mind. Let me just tell you it real fast. I can tell stories real fast. But Bob Bodine was a little kid with his dad watching a tournament with Arnold Palmer in it. Him and his dad were in the trees. Arnold Palmer was, what was it, 16th hole, one down. I told my husband this story and I said, I didn't know if I was using the terms right, but he was on his last little swing or whatever, and he was going to do a wedge. He looked over in the woods and there's Bob Bodine and his dad is shaking his head no, like, don't use the wedge. And the caddy's like, yes, use the wedge. And then Arnold looks over at Bob Bodine's dad again. He says, don't use the wedge. He gets the other club. And the dad shakes his head, yes. He hits it. He's great. And this was when he was first getting his career started. So Bob Bodine has this love for Arnold Palmer. He goes back and sees him years later. He showed us an autograph picture of the two of them when Bob Bodine was he was young, and he told a story. Arnold Palmer told Bob a story about when Arnold Palmer, which he was a big deal, right? I don't even know how big a deal he was, but he was a big deal. And he went to, was it Saudi Arabia or somewhere over there where they have a king? And the king met Arnold Palmer and he said, Arnold, what do you want? What can I want to give to you something. What do you want? And Arnold said, well, he was like, I don't know. What do I ask a king for? And he goes, well, I like golf clubs, right? That made sense. I like golf clubs. And the king was like, okay. So Arnold Palmer goes back home and he's waiting for his golf club. He's like, where's my golf club? And he waits. He said every day, he's checking the mail, checking his, front porch. And then he goes, and 13 days later, after he gets home, he gets a letter from the king. And he's like, well, I know there's no golf club in here. And the king writes him a letter, and the king said, Arnold, it was so great meeting you. And I wanted to gift this 400+ acre golf club to you. And Arnold was like, he got a golf club, like a golf course club, 400 acre one, because that's what the king thought it was. And the moral of that was, your perspective is big, dream bigger, don't hold yourself back. And these little moments you have with people can change the path of your life, right? That was the big, deeper part of that story. Him and his dad pouring into Bob Bodine and being in the woods during this tournament, and then having that moment with Arnold, and then being able to meet Arnold later and hear that story, and then him telling us this story. Dream bigger. Don't limit yourself out of fear, out of feeling not good enough, and go live in a way where you're touching you're having these tiny little moments with all the people in your life, because that's where the big stuff comes out of. So that's all we got today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I hope it was a fun way to feel like you maybe were at the conference. You got the little nuggets, even though sometimes it was like I couldn't read my own handwriting. But they are always a great, if you can go, always, it's a great way to go soak up all the Buffini knowledge and love and excitement, because it's just a bunch of like-minded professionals that are all, what did he say? We're all in the business for ourselves, but with each other, and it's really, really great to be part of something like that. And it's what has gotten me here today. If I didn't have Brian Buffini, I wouldn't know what to talk to you guys about. You're welcome, Adrian. Any questions? We can stay on a little bit longer if you guys have any questions. Anybody want to share any more? Rebecca, I know you've been on. Any other notes that you can find in your thing? Peyton's a new agent that joined. I always love when new agents get to go, because I remember being a new agent and I knew about Buffini, but when I went to my first conference, it was like, aha, like it all clicked together, and I was brand new. And I do give a lot of it to going so early in my career, because it changed my mindset of the business, because it's so hard. Anything else you guys want to share?
Shanae here one more time. I just didn't realize how, I mean, I knew that Brian was talking to NAR and he and Lawrence Yun were tight and all this stuff. I didn't realize how involved he was with making sure that we were essential during COVID. And I just don't know how to thank him for that. So that was huge.
Yeah. That was a big, I mean, it's impressive because this person that we look at for all this rah, he's actually someone so well respected in our industry. And just as a business person, regardless of industry, he's so well respected. And so it is really awesome to hear the influence he has and the impact he has in the industry. And then even, what was it? What is his name? Sorry, the Yoon. Forgot his name. But anyways,
Lawrence Yun.
Lawrence Yun. I was wanting to say Andrew. Lawrence Yun, just like he's been working with NAR for years and years and years, but Brian almost gave him a platform to really share important information, right, to the public. And because we've been soaking it up since day one of COVID, he had Lawrence Yun on his podcast, and we were hearing like directly from someone that this is their job, you know, what we should know and think about. So I thought that was really good. And his relationship with NAR is important because I think it's a voice for the agents like us, right? Like you guys. So I think that's really a big deal. I know it's probably hard and a pain in the butt to work with NAR for Brian because he doesn't have to, but he wants to because he wants to do it for us. So I think that is a good point, Shanae. Anybody else? All right, well, it's 10:10 and I'm sure you guys have the rest of your day to get to. Thank you all for sharing. I'm very grateful we got to do this together. I was gonna, it wasn't perfect, but I was like, you know what, I could reschedule it, make it better, but then you know what, let's just do it and knock it out. And I'm glad we did. So I'm glad you guys were here and able to do that with us. Thank you. Anything else? All right, guys, go have a great rest of your day and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.